Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. As we go to air tonight, fire crews are battling several out-of-control bushfires. There's an emergency warning for a blaze burning near shacks in the Central Highland, while conditions have been more moderate for crews working in the Derwent Valley. Tonight, we have our reporters Michelle Wisby joining us live from near Bothwell, and Ruby Kermain is in Lachlan. First, we cross to Michelle. Good evening. How serious is the situation there?
Joe, it still is looking quite serious out here. We're out near Bothwell, where an emergency level fire was upgraded around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Authorities say conditions are threatening shacks in the Black Snake area, although winds seem to have eased this evening. We've seen flames coming close to the Interlaken Road with planes and helicopters in the air to try and control the blaze. It's unknown whether any shacks have been lost in the fire at this stage, but here is what authorities had to say earlier today.
We know that the fire was heading towards some settlements, so as soon as we can get some intel from the air or from the ground crews up there, we should be able to confirm the status of those shacks. Hopefully the winds will ease once we get a little bit into the evening. We are expecting the warm conditions to continue through the night and also obviously into tomorrow.
So today, Joe, it's all about preparing for those worsening conditions on the way tomorrow.
OK, thank you very much for that, Michelle. We're now going to cross to Ruby Kermain, who's near Lachlan. Ruby, there's been relief for our firefighters today in the Derwent Valley.
Joe, the wind has stayed fairly steady throughout the day, not as big as originally thought. But as you can see behind me, it is very smoky out here tonight. You can probably hear the choppers work overtime as the haze continues to spread all across the Derwent Valley. Crews have been working on the ground and in the air to contain a blaze that broke out at Glenfern in the Lachlan area on Tuesday, with water bombers working around the clock to dampen the dry and charred vegetation. While, according to authorities, yesterday evening's backburning efforts have proven successful in preventing the fire from moving. Now, while today's conditions have remained quite calm, the blaze is still at advice level, with warm and windy weather predicted to make things more difficult for crews tomorrow. We spoke to the local volunteer brigade this afternoon about today's reprieve.
The wind was supposed to come up around about 2 o'clock and it hasn't happened. So the good part is that we haven't got a flashover, we haven't got a lot of flame coming over, and we'll just basically stand around putting out the hot spots again. Tomorrow there's maybe a little bit of wind, so it can still happen again. So around the back of the mountain behind me, there is still a chance that it can spot over again.
The Tasmania Fire Service is also reminding the public that the total fire ban issued for the southern region continues on to tomorrow. But even so, Joe, it looks like our firefighters may have a tough job on their hands tonight and ahead for tomorrow.
It certainly does look that way. Thank you very much, Ruby, and we wish our firefighters all the best for this evening. Tasmania's struggling health system is once again in the spotlight, with the Premier himself admitting it's inadequate. It comes in the wake of a shocking coronial case examining mental health. Labor today labelling it a damning indictment on the state of our hospitals.
Nearing completion, the new wing of the Royal Hobart Hospital designed to take pressure off our chronically overcrowded health system. Scheduled to open soon, but there's concerns the government's lagging behind its own deadline.
Is the hospital finished? And if not, when will practical completion be achieved?
The completion of the new K-Block inpatient precinct is now imminent, with final fit-out nearing completion. Once this occurs, the building will undergo rigorous inspection, testing and defect rectification.
Health back in the spotlight as the coroner examines the 2016 death of Joseph Latimer, who died 11 days after a suicide attempt in the emergency room bathroom. The head of the ED yesterday telling the inquest there have been many incidents since.
This is heartbreaking and a damning indictment on the state of our health system. Even people normalised to hearing stories of the harsh conditions in the emergency department would have been horrified at the evidence of your government's mismanagement.
The The Premier today making the stark admission our health system is inadequate.
We as a government accept that our health system is not performing adequately, and we've never said that it is.
But saying action is being taken.
We accept responsibility for the state of our health system. We accept responsibility for delivering all these things that have happened under this government and are an improvement on our health system.
Inpatient services in the new K block are expected to begin in February. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you or someone you know needs support, help is available 24/7. You can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. The board of infant formula producer Bellamy has reaffirmed its support for a Chinese takeover. A recommendation to vote in favour of Mong Yu's acquisition of the company went unchallenged by shareholders at today's annual general meeting in Launceston. The company's CEO says the takeover would also help overcome some regulatory hurdles in the Chinese market. Shareholders will vote on the proposal on December 6, pending approval by the Foreign Investment Review Board. Bellamy shareholders will receive $13.25 if the deal goes ahead. Tasmania will host only 2 all-Victorian AFL games next season, following the release of the 2020 fixture. But the state will see the league's second biggest club return for an Anzac Day blockbuster.
The AFL's highly anticipated fixture release held few prizes for fans of the big Victorian clubs. Only one all-Victorian game will be played at each end of the state. Hawthorn and North Melbourne in Launceston, and the Kangaroos playing Melbourne in Hobart.
I'm sure, Tasmanians would love more Victorian content, but I think it's really good with the spread right across the country.
At UTAS Stadium, the Hawks will host the league's second biggest side, West Coast, on Anzac Day in round 6. Port Adelaide will return in round 10. Homegrown star Taron Thomas could line up for the Roos against Hawthorn in round 17, before fellow draftee Chase Jones has his chance when the Adelaide Crows touch down for a twilight game in round 21. All games are scheduled for Saturday afternoons.
Traditionally, the Saturday early slot has been a crowd puller, more so than the late Sunday slot.
While at Blunston Arena, North Melbourne will host Fremantle in a Sunday game in round 5. Last year's surprise packet Brisbane heads to Hobart in round 13. The Roos play the Gold Coast Suns in round 19 before North hosts Melbourne in the final round of the year.
It's very hard to predict what a good fixture looks like, because I'm sure people at the start of last year were thinking Melbourne were going to be a ripping contest here at Blunston Arena in the last round. That didn't really end up eventuating, and Brisbane Lions probably an undesirable fixture, and they ended up being probably the talk of the town.
AFL Tasmania says its requests around time slots were met, but luring the big Victorian clubs remains a battle. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
New and improved buses are hitting regional routes across Tasmania, offering more passenger comfort and safety. Student advocates are welcoming the modernisation of fleets, replacing ageing vehicles without seatbelts.
Standing tall and proud, this new bus fleet is rolling out on our regional roads. Designed specifically for Tasmania's non-urban areas, they'll be servicing locations such as Port Arthur, the East Coast and the West Tamar.
They're used for the normal commuter services, so daily services out of these regional areas, bringing students, the elderly, commuters into work.
The move welcomed by school organisations who say the buses currently servicing these areas aren't suitable for purpose.
Some of the buses that are currently on the road are very outdated. They're a very old fleet of buses. We welcome a new investment.
They're calling for increased investment into safety for students and the general public for the often long journeys from these rural areas.
A lot of the buses, coaches on the mainland are now installing seatbelts for safety, and we've had a few accidents on the roads here with buses, and we certainly would like to see seatbelts as a part of the upgrade.
A message which bus companies are taking on board with their new designs.
With our long distance regional, these 2 vehicles have been fitted out with seat belts. It's a first for us, but we're trying to get that balance of safety, long distance and capacity.
Is upgraded right to its last extent as far as the Euros are concerned. The vehicle is designed for the Tasmanian roads, it's designed for comfort.
Each of the businesses have another 2 buses on order, with seatbelts a vital part of the design. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmanian News.
A hydropower station in the Central Highlands has today ticked off a significant milestone with the project officially open for business. The federal government says it will provide stability in the grid, helping to lower power prices.
A moment 4 years in the making, the $2.3 million Thunderbolt Hydro project officially powering on for the first time.
It's been a long road, so once again, today's really special after all the work we put in.
The 900 kilowatt power station converting water from a nearby river into clean energy with the ability to generate 3.5 gigawatt hours of electricity every year.
What this project does is give us more affordable, reliable power, baseload power from our natural resources.
The development adding to the state's growing list of renewable projects, including the Battery of the Nation and the Marinus Link. The federal government says it will help lower emissions while driving down power prices, but others believe the effect on household energy bills won't be noticeable.
In the total scheme of things, it will be a relatively small input.
It comes as the nearby Cattle Hill wind farm charges forward with all components of the 48 turbines now on site. That project is due to be completed at the end of this year, providing 10 ongoing jobs. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
A proposed art and culture hub at the old Launceston Gasworks site is one step closer to becoming a reality, with the council today approving the development application. An art gallery, restaurant and bar are all planned to be built on the CBD land, with one councillor describing it as an exciting opportunity. A Belrive couple is tonight celebrating their diamond wedding anniversary after 60 years of marriage. Shirley and Terry Latham have received special cards from the Queen, Prime Minister and Governor-General to mark the occasion. They say the key to their long-lasting relationship is hard work and a lot of love.
You have your ups and downs, and like everyone.
Well, the ups and downs is what make a marriage, because in the end, you've got to make up.
Yeah.
So it makes you love each other stronger.
They've been together since the 1950s after they met at a bus stop on a rainy evening.
The Tasmanian Tigers will be chasing early runs tomorrow following the opening day of their Sheffield Shield clash with Victoria at Blunston Arena, with the home side 5 for 118 and trailing by 9 runs at stumps a short time ago. After winning the toss and electing to bowl, the Tasmanian attack came out firing with 3 wickets apiece to Jackson Bird and Alex Pycroft, seeing the visitors order all out for just 127 after 41 overs. The Tigers' order then getting off to a shaky start with the bat, with Bo Webster lasting just 3 balls before Charlie Wakeham fell for a duck. Matthew Wade and George Bailey steadying the ship with a string of boundaries as the pair put on a solid partnership before Bailey was eventually dismissed on 41. To basketball, and the Hobart Chargers have announced 2 of the state's most well-known figures to lead them forward in 2020, with Anthony Stewart and Mark Nash signing on to coach the men's and women's programs as the club prepares to re-enter the national sporting landscape. Stewart was previously unreceptive about the idea of returning to the club. He led to the 2018 Siebel title, but says the growing buzz surrounding a potential Tasmanian NBL team down the track is too big to ignore.
I won't hide behind that. That's my passion. That's what I want to aim for. Now, whether that's an assistant coaching role, head coaching role, that'll play out as we go along. Momentum just makes sense to try and stay here and see what eventuates.
Taking the reins of the men's program for the 2020 NBL 1 season, Stewart says he's already had discussions with several ex-players about returning to the state, with new women's coach Mark Nash, who played 300 games at NBL level, also now on the hunt for talent.
The Chargers brand is really strong, and I think we will be a destination club for a lot of players, which is fantastic. I'm really buying in to the vision of the club, which is trying to develop 10 WNBL players and 10 NBL players over the next decade, and I think that's something I can really strongly contribute to.
And with NBL owner Larry Kesselman still keen to move ahead on plans to purchase the Derwin Entertainment Centre precinct as a home base for a Tasmanian team, former Chargers president David Bartlett says the time has come for the state government to cough up its share.
It is going to come down to whether or not the state government want to invest in the Derwin Entertainment Centre or not. This is the equivalent of 3 Hawthorn deals, the equivalent of a new Mona coming into the Tasmanian economy.
Finally, in sport, a world-class field of athletes are in the running to be crowned the 2019 Tasmanian Athlete of the Year, with the 6 finalists named today. Following a stellar 12 months in their respective sports, cyclists Georgia Baker and Amy Cure are in the mix, with Kookaburra's captain Eddie Ockenden, triathlete Jake Birtwistle and rower Sarah Hoare also in the running, while swimmer Ariane Titmus remains in with a big chance after her breakthrough win over American sensation Katie Ledecky back in July. The winner will be named at an awards night in Hobart next month.
It's been a partly cloudy day with warm and dry conditions across the state. Hobart reached 27 degrees, Launceston 24, Devonport 18, Burnie 17. 31 was the state's top temp recorded at Ouse. Grove and Strawn both reached 29, Flinders Island 28, St Helens 26, King Island 25, Lyoini 24, Friendly Beaches 23, Smithton 21, Maria Island 19, Low Head 17. Looking down from the skies today, patchy mid-level cloud moved across Tasmania to the east, with overcast low-level cloud off the coast. On the bigger picture, a big comma-shaped cloud band over the southern ocean, with a cold air mass to the southwest of the mainland. Thunderstorms over inland Queensland and New South Wales. Tomorrow, the chart shows a high in the Tasman extending a ridge along the east coast of the mainland, with a cold front approaching Tasmania from the west. Northerly winds on the waters at around 10 to 20 knots, but becoming lighter and more variable through the afternoon. Seas to 2 metres. Couple of things to warn you about. We've got a strong wind warning for the west coast between Low Rocky Point and Stanley, as well as for northeast waters east of Flinders Island. Looking ahead to Hobart tomorrow, a top of 32 degrees, hot, becoming windy. Geeveston, hot and 31, Bothwell 30. Launceston, partly cloudy, 29 the top. Devonport, 23 with late rain. Georgetown, 24. Burnie, expecting late rain, a top of 23. Strawn, 30. Wynyard, 23. A partly cloudy day for St Helens tomorrow, 28, Swansea and Port Arthur both 31. Looking ahead to the weekend now, with rain across the state on Saturday, contracting to the northeast in the afternoon. Some possible thunderstorms as well. Sunday showers developing about the west and south of the state, through the morning extending elsewhere in the afternoon, and much the same on Monday, with showers about the west and far south extending statewide later in the day. Taking a look now at the mainland for tomorrow, showers expected in Perth, Adelaide and Brisbane. A warm and windy day for Sydney, looking at a top of 27. Similar conditions in Melbourne with a top of 34 degrees. And finally, let's take a look at the current conditions. Joe, we've got another hot and dry day ahead of us with dangerous fire conditions. Do keep an eye on the Bureau of Meteorology and TFS websites.
Well, that's all from the team for now. Thanks so much for your company. We will see you with updates right throughout the evening. Bye for now.